Yo, the kids official sliding on the instrumental. Nordic combos, twist your mental like forbidden.
Peace to the public and power to the people.
Yo, big health, big healing, and for sure today, big hip hop in the space where the vulnerable are powerful and where the most gangster thing you could do is serve. This is All the Way Live.
This is indeed the All the Way Live show. And what a show we got for people today, man. You know, we do this show on a weekly basis. And you know exactly what we do it for, man. We say, Miles Xavier, we dedicate ourselves to research. We dedicate ourselves to finding some of the coolest artists. We dedicate ourselves to finding some of the people that are doing the best impact. We do it for a host of reasons, but the main reason that we do it for is because we know people are going through it, right? We know that depression is at an all-time high. We know that suicide is at an all-time high. We know that being lonely is like smoking 15 cigarettes a day out of a pack.
You ain't alone. You ain't gotta be alone. We here for you.
You ain't gotta be alone, and that's what we do the show for, man. Carefully curated content for your cranium, all the way live. You know, you come right over here, get a piece of that positive energy, and go about your day. That's what we do it for, and we do it consistently.
Big facts, we do it consistently. We're able to do that because of you, my brother. You know, Exeter's in the building, Johannesburg is in the building via my dog. You know what I'm saying? And our producer Hassan, shout out the boy. You know what I'm saying? Producing from his home, the fam, the crib situation. We appreciate you, big homie. And New York is in the building in a big way. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get into that a little bit later in the show, but believe that, no doubt. And you know what's going on this side, man. This podcast is recorded on stolen land, right? This is Chicago. This land was cared for by the Potawatomi people, the Council of the Three Fires, and the violence done to remove those people from this land is inseparable from the violence that we see in this city today, this country today, and this world today, right? And for that reason, to acknowledge that harm done, we acknowledge, we lift up, we love on the indigenous people the world over. You know, we lift up love for black and brown people the world over. We hope it feels good to be you and whatever skin you in. And that's how we end the intro. Let's get into the show.
Yeah, I get that. But is we live, though? Is we, like, all the way live, though? You heard? Yeah, sir. Now, listen. Me and my brother Miles are both activists, community organizers. We serve the people. We are for the people. And this week ain't no different. Before we get into that, Miles, talk to me, my brother. What energy are you coming with? How you doing?
Checking in. My brother knows I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Just getting the level set. Talk about the energy we bringing into this space, bro. I'm good. I'm full. You know, big gratitude. Got to spend a little time right up the street, man, on 67th and St. Lawrence, talking about speech and communication therapy, trying to provide that for folks where the access isn't that great. Basically, if it ain't in your school, you're probably not going to get access to that type of stuff, which is critical, right? If you struggle, if you have communication challenges, that affects everything, right? Your social life, your school life, everything. So we try and make sure that people have access to services that can get them straight with that, you know, supporting the kids, helping them find and amplify their voice. So it's cool to be able to big that up right down the street from the crib. That's what I've been on. And you already know what we've been on collecting these laptops, bro. Tell them what we about and what we need them to do.
Like my brother says, helping these kids get technology and helping them get the support that they need. Over COVID, we saw so many kids just not be able to go to school. You know, a lot of kids went back home. They got to do online learning. They don't have internet at the crib to be able to do that. So we literally now have a generation, especially of black and brown kids, that had to go home without any laptops, without any computers. And, you know, now they're stuck in this limbo situation. We keep telling y'all what we do, man. How many meals have we handed out yet? What is it? What's the scoreboard say right now? Where we at?
I don't know. It's in the M's, though. It's in the M's. It's in the M's. Big L on energy on that.
Yeah, for sure. We need drops. We definitely need drops for that. But I believe the last time we checked, distributed over 10 million meals with the help of you guys. And so we are calling on y'all again one more time, man, to be able to get these laptops to these kids. We've handed out 3 laptops so far this year, a scholarship out this year. Miles wants to hand out 2,000 laptops in
Yup.
the next 4 months.
I know they out there. I know they out there. I know somebody's office space just turned over all fresh, brand new equipment. Figure out where it's going. Let us know. But on the low, if you also have your own solo independent laptop, you looking for a new one, your old one ain't quite kicked the bucket, or you know somebody that's in that situation, let us know, man. We'll put that laptop in the hands of a kid who's gonna appreciate it and do great things with it.
For sure. And we got a whole bunch of dope content around it too, man. You get to feel as the empowering feeling it feels to be able to help somebody. I know for a fact that the act of doing this sort of work is some of the most rewarding work that I've ever done, and so we definitely would like to be able to extend that same feeling to all of y'all. Congratulations again to our last laptop winner, a young superstar in South Africa who's studying engineering. We know she's about to go make a big difference in the world. So go check out our Mandula Foundation page, become a part of the journey, help some kids out, man. Help some kids.
No, it. Do it. Share it. You know what I'm saying? Like this video too. Subscribe. All that.
Yo, where impact meets art. What art are we on to today? What are we doing and what are we giving? We give these people way too much.
We do. But I think one of the things we best at giving them is hip hop, right? And we well within our comfort zone with this one today, man. I love that this space has become a space where we can just talk about the things that we like or that we rock with. And so I'm rocking heavy with some of the music I heard from this gentleman that's joining us, Big Cousin. Welcome to All the Way Live, bro.
Yo, what's good, y'all? How y'all doing? Appreciate y'all having me on here. And I mean, big love, NYC, all over the world. You know the vibes.
No doubt, man. Thanks
Because
for joining us.
welcome, my man. Yo, can I tell you before you? And we've had a conversation. We've been talking and had so much a great natural conversation before this, and we know a bit of your story. But for us as people that have been bumping your music for the last week or two on repeat, break down to us and the folks, man. Who is Big Cuzzo and what's the story like? What you feeling?
Man, big cousin, he just big cousin, man. He just a guy. But the story starts in New York, South Side Jamaica. Just my brothers was just they were just hip hop heads, Like I always listened to them. They always had they were the first ones to introduce to me what a cassette player was. And then we had to plug it into the stereo. They showed me how to use it. Man, we would just be recording like live radio sessions. Like this is like early 2000s, right? Because I was still living in Queens. And it was just the influence of that, and then like my brothers, coming home. Like I said, my father came. He was listening to Yellow Man, Barrington Levy, all of them people, and then my brother was coming home with Wu Tang, and then my other brother was coming home with MF Doom, like those kind of things, like LimeWire. So I just, I fell in love with music around that time, but I started making music in 2009 when I one day I just came down and I saw my brother with this computer that we were sharing, and we used to play Rock Band. You know the game Rock Band,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we took the Rock Band mic and plugged it into our USB on our mic, and we just started rapping over it. That's how we first started. You know what I mean? That's how everything started. Like just from that moment on, and then like ever since then, I fell in love with it. Like it was such a thing for me. Like, it was therapeutic for me, especially like, like, just growing up, my family, my mom not being here and things like that. So it just helped me, just express better and like, it got me to this point here. So like big cousin is really just big cousin is just love, baby. You know what I mean? Big cousin, blue money, the vibes. Like that's just really it's really the story. Like that's how everything really got started. So that's I could go on and on, but that's the main thing.
I know
No
Miles got
doubt.
a whole bunch of questions too. What Miles, we're busy trading on which song to start breaking down for Big Cuz, but I think, man, like one of the things that we were trying to put our finger on when we were listening to your story and why it's so dope is because it's such a pure hip hop story. Going from rock band, using what you can to be able to put that music out. So now when people listen to that Blue Money, it's polished music. It's polished music. You know what I mean? That bleed respect. That's polished music. So how do you get from rock band sound all the way now to where we hearing my boy talk about I want that pen to bleed respect? How do you get to that point?
You get to that point by just not listening to what anyone says. Like you just like it's so like prior. I'll give you a story. Prior to Blue Money, like I dropped the album. If you guys could ever find it, I don't know if anyone would ever find my old albums, but I have like two albums on the internet. Um, or like it's 2000. They're both on Dat Piff, by the way. Remember Dat Piff?
Shout out
Freaking
that Piff.
yeah! Shout out Dat Piff. They, you know what I mean. My first mixtape slash album was on there, and I used to sell it on CDs. And people, my teachers used to buy my CDs. Funny enough, people. It got to the point where I gave away my CDs, but then people like I was the only rapper in my area, right? So everybody was like, "Oh, you the only rapper." Like no one wants to rap. Get a job. Everyone was like, "Get a job." This, that, third. So with that being said, I just never listened to what anyone said to me. Even like ex girlfriends at the time telling me that I shouldn't be rapping. I should get a job. Like go to college. Like things like that. Like don't get me wrong. I'm not. Those are the things that really kept the fire going because I felt like there was like there was doubts, but again, you just ignore those things and you just keep going. Like I followed my intuition the whole time. Like I didn't go with what what my ex would say or what anyone else would say or my brothers. Even sometimes my brothers would say things, but you just gotta stay focused, man. If you doing something and you love it and you know you do, then there shouldn't be any question about it. So, you know what I mean? That's really how I got there. Like, people would always tell me, don't focus like Blue Money. In the middle of that, people were telling me, "Oh, they ain't gonna work. You're not gonna work with Stally. You're not gonna work with Ev. You're not gonna, you know what I mean?" Like people would just try to denounce what I'm trying to manifest. And that's the thing about these artists is that everyone gets caught in this thing of like taking like all artists are sensitive, so all artists get all sensitive and then they don't want to finish things. And I've seen a lot of people in the process of Blue Money, people quit, people just give up their dreams, say, "Oh man, I'm just gonna focus on this." And all I did was kept my head down in the studio for the pat. Blue Money took me about a year to finish because I was working at McDonald's, had 100 other things in my way, but I still managed to get shit done. I mean, get things done.
Nah, you could say you get shit done. That's what you
Yeah,
did. No
yeah,
doubt. No
like
doubt.
just
Um,
get shit done.
where are the moments in the process for you that lets you know that you are on the right path, right? Does that come in the studio? Does that come when a song is finished? Where are the moments where you're like, oh nah, I'm sure.
It's I it really just depends. Like sometimes I'll be in a car and I'll write a song and I'm like, this is it. Like it's really just following your intuition. Like most of the times where I've had that was when I was writing in my car, in by myself, like, just in my own world, not worrying about socials, nothing. Just like that's really it for me. Sometimes in the studio, like I wrote well, tell you the truth, I wrote like Blue Money was mostly written like in my car. Tell you the truth, you know what I mean? Like
I feel
mostly
you.
just like on the trips and stuff like that. So yeah, man, that's really how I know. Like I just follow my gut feeling and I just follow through. You know what I mean?
No doubt. No doubt. When we was rapping a little bit before the show, you was mentioning that like your focus is on you right now, especially musically in terms of hip hop. Um, is there anything else that you're listening to that like is your R&B game up? Are you listening to other things, or is it just you
Um,
dialed into what you write into and all that?
I mean, I'm dialed in, but I mean R&B. I am a sucker for R&B. Like I love R&B. I like what Division, Giveon, like those areas. Like who else? Brent Fayez.
Okay, you
Me and
hearing
Uncle
what's
Rich.
out there? You for sure hearing
Yeah,
what's
come
out
on,
there.
man. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in there. I'm tapped in. Like I know. Like I just, those people I fuck with. But other than that, I just been like, I just really been focused on what I've been doing, man. Because I'm working on my other project as we speak. Like one is about to drop, and I'm working on another one as we speak. So I'm just trying to keep myself a year ahead of myself, so I ain't got to worry about no pressure. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Yo, especially when you can definitely hear some of that R&B stuff. And like on a real note, you can not saying that your music is R&B at all, but when somebody loves R&B, especially like me, like you say, Brent Fayez, Giveon, I'm also Summer Walker, Snow Allegra. That's our type of vibe. So when I listen to Love Games, you can definitely hear the cadence that you're bringing it you got Love Games going in. It's definitely got a very melodic mindset to it in the way that you're delivering the cadence. So when you're writing and you're putting things together, do you see the end product before, or do you just let it move you through it?
I moved through it. I ain't gonna lie. Like love, tell you the truth, love games came from like just it came from heartbreak. I was heartbroken when I wrote the song. So, you know what I mean? I just it that one just was that one was like built up. That one came to me and it was just like in the studio, to be real. That one just it was just the right beat, right song, and everything that I was feeling at the time. I just put it down on paper, man. Like I just Love Games is just a song to all the fellas that really really are genuinely like they love they love women, they love themselves, and they just want to be free to express themselves without being judged, as a man, things
Man,
like that. So Love Games is an ode to positive masculinity and being honest.
that's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. I really appreciate that. My bad. I see Zoe trying to jump in. I just wanted to real quick just throw out that, man. Like I appreciate hip hop as a space where it's one of the few like areas where black men specifically like get praised for being emotional, right? For like sharing their actual story and like sharing what they actually feel, bro. So
Yeah,
taking
yeah,
advantage
yeah.
of that space is fire.
Come on, that's why I love writing, because like I really fell in love. R&B was my R&B's, like Mary J. Blige, like when she came out with what's that song, not the Cookout Anthem, the
Real
Real
love.
Love. Real Love, yeah, there we go. When she came out with Real Love, man, that was like wow. And then me listening to Jay-Z, but like Song Cry, those kind of lyrics expressing, like, you know what I mean, like it hip hop hip hop needs to bring that back, really, how I feel about it. Hip hop needs to like really, like, top tier, needs to bring back that full expression, because nobody's really expressing like how they was before, like, that's why
Yeah.
I love Love Games, because Love Games is like, that song was really, it was personal, but it was needed to be said. Like, the lyrics in there, like, our 20s ain't the same as our parents was. Like, that's the ode to positive masculinity. Like, yo, you have to understand that as yourself. Like, yes, your face might be like your father's, but you are not your father. You know what I mean?
Oh, bro,
That's
you
deep.
touching on daddy issues right now, bro. We got content on that. But like, we got to chop it up a bit before
Yeah.
the show, and I think what resonates and what's definitely coming from you from a very authentic place is how, as like you keep saying, that positive masculinity, right, and being very self-aware about what the ego is and how to be able to deflect from that and being real present, and then seeing you actually let that speak through your music with intention, my brother. I think, and then you're a spitter too, like a serious spitter. And I think when you put those two things together, dog, that's the unique sound that I think I enjoy most about this Blue Money, and I'm excited for what you got coming next.
Appreciate that, man. Nah, for real. Like, that's crazy. I appreciate that, man. Like, people like that. That sound sonically is, it's hard to recognize the uniqueness about it, because everyone's so quick to say it's old school, or people to say that, oh, I just like this one, instead of like dissecting the whole thing. You know,
Mm.
appreciate that.
Yo. So is that what we can expect on the next project? Something similar, or you feel yourself being pulled in a new direction?
I'm in a whole new direction, man. Blue Money was just to let go of everything of how I was feeling. I Blue Money was just uh it was progression because I was doing a lot of regressing at the time of Blue Money. So
Gee.
that's done and done, you know. So this next project is more moving forward about my attitude about how things are now. Like there's a song on there. There's a song on there on my new project. It's called Sport Mode, by the way. You know, no
Sport
features, no,
mode coming soon.
yeah, come on, it's coming soon. No big features, nothing crazy, just me, like, you know. And again, I'm more focusing on like just being honest with myself and being honest to like I sport mode is the next follow up to Blue Money, basically. Sport mode, pole position, Grand Prix, but those that really you know you can expect some growth on this one. Like this one is really more grown, more mature, like more honest. Like you know, I ain't gotta worry about the same stuff as I was worrying about on Blue Bunny.
Sport mode, pole position. It sound I'm getting a lot of marathon elements out of that. And you know, you talking to people that got nip tattoos on them, you know, and when I see Blue Money too, it resonates a bit. So maybe you can speak a bit on. I know you said you're not listening to anything but Big Cuzzo right now, but what are
Right.
who's inspiring you in the current rap scene, and who what are your inspirations? I guess would be the question.
Well, shoot, I right now who's really into. All right, I'll keep it real because me and him actually grew or we lived a few towns from each other. You know, Rock Marciano, like
Yeah.
Of course, just
so
dropped an
me.
album.
Yes, he just dropped Elephant Man Bones, right? So that, but me and Rock Marciano, I don't know him personally. I don't know him like at all, but like we know of each other kind of thing because we lived like a few towns from each other. So that's one dude who I constantly listen to because we're literally from the same area. Like you know what I mean? Like he's literally like 30 minutes like east. I mean he's 30 minutes west towards the city, like in New York. So that was Hempstead. He lives in Hempstead. Hempstead was 30 minutes, like 45 minutes away from Patchogue. Like you know what I mean? So it was essentially like in the same area, and then you get to New York. So that Rock Marciano is like number one for me right now, and that's really it. Like I tap into Action Bronson here and there. Um, you know, I get that's really it. That's really off the top of my head right now. But who really inspires me, like just inspires me, is really tell you the truth is Jay-Z, but more in the
Oh
sense
man.
of like more in the sense like yeah lyricism, but more in the sense of how can I leverage my knowledge to bring me to you know what I'm trying to manifest basically, like because if I'm manifesting myself to be the illest, then it's like what Jay-Z said, like you know you can, like everyone has an innate talent. You just you know what I mean. You just gotta tap in. You know what I mean. So that's really who I that's who really inspires me like top notch outside of Ghostface Killer because I just love Ghostface Killer. Like you know what I mean. Wu Tang proper like you know what I mean. That's another dude who changed my life. Like changed my life. You know like whoa like this dude like Supreme Clientele. Come on man
Yeah.
like that album changed my life, bro. Like I couldn't believe because the transition of rap from New York at the time, it was like Illmatic, Reasonable Doubt, and then all of a sudden it went to Ghostface. Like imagine hearing Ghostface on the radio as a kid. That was my like that was like the moment for me. I was like, yeah, this is gone. This is stuck with me forever. You know? So that's really yeah. I just been running through the you know I just been running through the people who inspire me, but I ain't been tapping into nothing new though, man. I really want to focus on my craft. That's why I'm here. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get nice. Like, that's it. You know what I mean?
You nice for real. And you speaking our language too, man. Like, man, the whole of love, the appreciation, bro, like Reasonable Doubt is one of my joints. It's one of our joints, right? So we have to change. This is our cousin. You our cousin, man. We definitely it's a kinship for real with this hip hop stuff, man. Because I was telling Zway even before you jumped on, we were talking about the project. I was like, yo, I really dig it, and we were like, yo, who like there's somebody here. There's a homage, right, to somebody here, and I could hear Ghostface like as an inspiration in your music, right? In the
Right.
best, like, man. So shout out, man. Keep working. We gonna keep listening too. It's good to be able to say that and mean it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, dog. Like I love music. I love rap. Like I love rap, bro. Like it's just love. You know what I mean? Like it's the only place you can really get off what you're saying. And like I wanted to you were saying something in the beginning of the show about like Chicago. You talk about like the Native American history and things like that. Like you know what I mean? Like that's essentially like what I'm getting to on my project. After sport mode. Like I'm trying to talk about my history because I'm from the Chickahominy tribe, but you know I'm Native American.
Wow.
So like
Shout out.
I, you know the chief Powhatan. I don't know if you know about that history, but basically he was like one of the first chiefs that came in contact with with the settlers. So uh, you know that was when like the first treaty of I forgot what treaty exactly it was. I think it was like Virginia. I forgot the exact name, but basically that was like when Native Americans were trading corn for you know British products like whatever they were selling at the time. So like that was in Virginia. So I just wanted to make people aware that you know what I mean. Like there's tribes that still exist. Like if people forgot, like you know I'm from one of them tribes. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. Like shout out to you for putting that out there because people really don't people really don't think about us like that. Like we're literally forgotten about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The minute that you bring up a Native American, it's like conversation and done. You know what I mean? So yeah,
One of
I'm taking a step to put that visual out there for us. You know what I mean?
one of the dangers, bro, about like history forgotten, and which is why I appreciate Miles for doing this land acknowledgement and acknowledging that, like, yo, this land that we're on, the violence that was done to the people on this land is inseparable from the violence that we see in the people of the U.S. today, in our countries, in our cities. Especially when you subscribe to the fact that energy doesn't get destroyed, it just gets
Yeah,
converted. And though when land is taken and there's blood that seeps into that land, when we then see the seeds and the fruits of that land be violent and spoiled, and all the violence and miscommunicate and misinformation that we're seeing, you have
yeah,
to be able, you should, it's an easy to draw a line to see where it comes back from, bro. So in any way that's being acknowledged, either through your art or in any way, we big that up. So we're looking all the way forward to what sport mode is gonna be like, and I'm sure the merch is gonna be crazy.
oh yeah, yeah. The merch is yeah. I got some designs and we pretty much ready on that end. We just that's it. We just need to you know we just closing out on distribution and that's it. We good. You know what I mean? Like everything is pretty much ready to go on that one. I can't wait till y'all hear that one. That's the one that we'll be able to talk more. You know what I mean? The more progress because I ain't really dropped nothing since Blue Money. Like you know, I got the little bits on SoundCloud. I don't know if y'all ever checked the SoundCloud, but there's some bits on there that was supposed to be on Blue Money. There's some bits I was supposed to drop, things like that. You know what I mean? So that's really like you know, sport mode is gonna be more of an ode to where I'm at now and I can't
Dope.
wait to hear that. Like that's what you know what I mean. I'm excited for y'all to hear that.
Well, we mad excited to hear it, man. And shout out to the SoundCloud audience. I know they hype too now, man. Your energy is dope, man. Your energy comes through in the music, and it's dope that you match it here on the show. It's not every interview that could do that, man. So we appreciate that, and that history that you was acknowledging, man. It makes us powerful, yo. It makes us powerful, and that power's in the music too, man. So yeah, guess it's
Oh, thank
sport mode season.
come on, man. Sport mode season. I'm telling you, man. Sport mode season, man. I appreciate y'all putting that knowledge out there because I always talk about this. Like I always talk about, you know, like you know, long story short, you know what I mean. Just my tribe, like I make people aware, you know, because you know we forget, you know, people forgot, people forget about these things. People forgot us, you know, like you know they trick the black men in America to believe that America is theirs. You know, it's crazy. And then we're
It's
all the ones to
crazy.
suffer. All the black community the ones to suffer. And the thing about blackness is that blackness removes your identity. So I tend not to say I'm black. I tend to say that I'm an American Indian.
Mm,
You know, so I don't say black no more. I say I know my identity. I know myself. You know what I
Man,
mean?
Hey man,
identity is so
we
important, so we respect that in a big way.
yeah. We say self awareness is self love, man. Self awareness is self love, and how we're gonna keep showing you love is our SoundCloud audience is definitely in full effect. Our biggest audience over there, they love this hip hop stuff, so we're gonna keep promoting Big Cousin. Big Cousin is a friend of the show, is a
No
family,
doubt.
is our big cousin, man. We so excited for sport mode to come in. Hopefully, we can get you out in Chicago. Whenever you're in Chicago, you can let the boys know. We can
Word.
sit
Word?
down.
Word.
Say less. Y'all both in Chicago?
I'm out here,
Soon to
Zoe
be.
pulling up, so
Oh,
no doubt.
that's all right, bet. I'm pulling up to Chicago. Yo, it's crazy. I always wanted to pull up to Chicago, but I ain't gonna lie, I'm a New York nigga, but you know what I mean? I ain't really trying to pull up on them sides there unless I know somebody kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Now you know somebody. Now you know somebody.
All right. We gonna tap it.
Not just anybody. Not just
Yeah,
say we're gonna have you out there feeding kids in Chicago, brother. You'll see how we get down.
I'm down, man. I'm down. Just let me know, man. I'm down. Like, you know what I mean?
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Yo, because we appreciate your time, brother. We got more information to be able to get these people. Check out Blue. Come on, man. Check out my brother's Blue Money EP out now on DSPs. Without further ado, our producer's giving us the cue. Let's get into it. Shout out Big Cuz.
Man, yo, that was fun, bro. That was a good
Dope.
time. Like,
Dope.
man, we gotta do more of that. We gotta do more of that.
Something people
Yeah, go ahead. Our regularly scheduled program.
something people apparently aren't doing enough of is reading. And I know that's something that you want to be able to jump in and talk to people about. Miles Xavier, what are the statistics talking and saying about people reading?
People are reading less, right? That seems like that's the move. That's the trend, right? So we in this space where between 2003 and 2016, the amount that the average person read or devoted, the amount of time that they devoted to reading dropped from about 0.36 hours, which is about 20 minutes a day, to about 17 minutes a day, right? And that don't seem like that's a crazy drop, but it's in a trajectory that shows that people aren't absorbing, taking in information that way. And I guess when you hear that, it's one of those headlines like, oh no, people aren't reading. Come on, man. We got to fix that. We got to change that. But before we get too hype about it, I guess I just wanted to bring to my brother and talk to you. Like, is this something to be worried about? Are readers going other places? How should we look at this? And I think you, as somebody who I know to be one of the big readers in my life, are the perfect person to talk to.
I appreciate that, bro, because I see you as a big reader too. And I think it was funny enough, I was inspired about how avid of a reader you are to during university. You know, you're one of the few people that I know during uni that was picking up books and reading casually. You'd catch Miles Xavier flipping through Game of Thrones or something wild. I was like, yo, this dude crazy.
That Game of Thrones had a chokehold on me. I ain't gonna lie. It was tough to balance that with the books. With the school
Super
books.
immersive.
Word.
Super immersive.
Hurry
man.
up
But,
with that next one, George Martin. I ain't playing with you.
Oh, it's never coming out. It's never
You're
coming out. I'll
probably
let you know that.
You're probably right. I'm hurt.
I'll let you know that for free right now. But in terms of the reading, man, you know, something interesting is that I've been finding a lot of people have a fear of reading in the traditional sense, which is sitting down with the book and flipping through it, right? I know one of my partners, and I know he wouldn't mind saying this because it's so empowering, and I think it's important for people to hear. One of my business partners, CJ, who's co-founder with me in Chomi in Namibia, he's dyslexic, right? So he has a reading impediment that switches letters on him. So letters switch on him. So reading is a struggle for him to be able to get through. However, it is not an the learning is not an impediment. This man consumes information in a very from all different angles, audio, visual, that type of thing. So I do think that on one end you do want to be able to share the joy of there's a particular joy in sitting with the book and flipping through it and finishing a book and getting immersed in the presence of that type of content. But I do want to be able to open up the doors of the fact that it's not the only way to be able to consume that information. That reading is information coming in through a book is not all the way separate from information you can get it from podcasts or from YouTube or from audios, that type of thing.
Ah, interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, right? So, and to be clear about like how much people are reading, I think it's important to also acknowledge that like reading, this is basically based on a survey that categorized like the way people spent their time, right? So reading was separate from something like computer usage, right? But somebody might be spending time on a computer reading a lot of things, but it was dedicating reading as a specific activity, right? And so when you get into, I appreciate you trying to be inclusive in terms of being like, yeah, people absorb information in a variety of different ways, and it's important to like not make them feel less if reading is not the way that works for them. But I think it's also like what you said with audiobooks and the different ways that we consume it. There are some certain benefits to reading, right? Like improving your brain connectivity. What you yeah, that's I guess that's the energy I'm coming with. Y'all need to read, right? Because it improves your brain connectivity. It increases your vocabulary and your comprehension. It empowers you to empathize with other people. It aids in sleep readiness. There's a whole bunch of like things related to stress. It lowers stress, blood pressure, heart rate, fights depression. So there are some benefits to doing this thing that I feel like a lot of us have an interesting relationship with. So I think if you have the ability to read, right, I think it's something that you might want to take a second thought about how much of it you're doing. Your brain is a muscle. It's like exercise. It's like working out. And reading is an incredible way to do that. So I wanted to ask you, man, as somebody who, like, speaking of exercise and working out, who takes care of their body, who thinks a lot about what you put into it and how you maintain it. And I know books are a big part of that. And I wanted to know where did that start with you?
Quite honestly, man, you know, I'm very fortunate. My mom was a teacher, you know, so I hated reading and was forced to read for the longest time. You know, I was one of those kids where punishment to me was, you better, if you want something, you got to write a report on it. You know, that was the household that I grew up in. So it's funny enough that what it turns into a punishment at some point, and then you sitting there with a whole bunch of encyclopedias. So I was an encyclopedia kid, and had the full collection of those, and so that became my escape. Way before PlayStations came about, and I don't know if you, and maybe this is a black mom mistake, but they used to hide my PlayStation during the school year. You know what I mean? During school year, you wake up one morning, it's all gone.
I feel like hiding it would have been better. Mine didn't get hid. It was just off limits. It was just, you can't, it's right there. It's plugged in, but you better not touch it during the week. That week is for school. Now you can pick that up on Saturday morning when you're not at basketball, right? And we're not having to go out to visit relatives. Whenever, I don't know when you're going to play it, was basically their attitude. But it's there. It's plugged in, but you better not touch it during the school days. So that was a tough relationship too.
I hate the miscellaneous nature in which these punishments were given through. Because on my side too, there was no set date on when it would go. You know, if school started on Monday, it would be a Thursday and it's gone. It's like, hey yo, I still got some time on the clock, but they still take it out. But you know, in retrospect, that was something that really did help me a lot, right? So that's how reading really did start for the boy. And then over time, Harry Potter, Goosebumps, R.L. Stein, just being really immersed in this universe of characters. And so as time goes by, dropped the reading in university, surrounded myself by people who I would like to be like, avid readers such as Miles Xavier in university, who's once said to me, you said something fly to me, man. You said, bro, I just want to be furiously intelligent. You said, oh, go ahead, hit them with the quote. Hit them with the quote that you told me.
I think the quote you're talking about is, the desire to be like fiercely articulate, right? Specifically in defense of like the things we care about, and in service of community, right? I think we looked around at the world that was developing as we were coming into our adulthood and going, wow, what a fact is less tangible. And if you want to be able to make a point, if you want to be able to really lay out an ideology, then people are picking at that in a way that isn't thinking critically but is effective, right? And so you have to be fiercely articulate in order to combat that. And I think that's something that we've adopted for sure.
So it's fascinating, but because what I don't think is all there's a lot of positive things about reading, and I read avidly, much as yourself. We share that passion together, but I don't think it's something that has to be super prescribed, because I know a lot of people do struggle with it. Now, it's one of those things that if you can get into a habit of, it definitely is like getting your brain it warms your brain up. It's like your brain doing push-ups in the morning, or whenever you read it, it's like, your brain's doing yoga. Actually, it really does engage in a different part of immersion. So I would like everybody to be able to appreciate that, especially young black kids, because it helps you be articulate in a very particular way. It helps you to be able to convey information in different angles. By being able to read, you can tell if someone is a reader based on how they write. Not saying that it is bad writing, but you can tell the intricacies and the manner in which they get to information if they are an avid reader. So I do think that for those that are really passionate about being able to represent themselves in the most articulate, sharp way, and love words and love delivering information and love being able to communicate, all of the greatest people in those fields are all avid readers.
Yeah. And I think you're right, man. I think you're right to take the approach of being like, we're not trying to be too prescriptive, right? Because the extent to which you have time even to read, right? I know it's people busting their ass on a 9 to 5 that are like, bro, if you tell me to pick up a book between shifts, I got a few choice words for you. You know what I'm saying? But I would say like, yo, try maybe one book a year, right? Or maybe just one book period. Find something that you like. Doesn't have to be something super like, high-minded, super cerebral. We was just talking about how like I got a lot out of reading Game of Thrones, just from the habit building of reading, from his ability to describe, the author's ability to describe things. Like, it definitely did help my writing. Find something that you care about or that interests you, and don't worry about don't compare yourself to how other people are reading. I think these Zoom screens got us messed up, bro. I think seeing everybody's so-called library behind them when we're trying to engage with them has us in a space where like reading is almost a competitive thing, right? And like we thinking about how we should how many books we need to read a certain amount of books, or say we read a certain amount of books. I think we need to take that competition part out of it. I think that's the big thing holding us back from reading.
Good point. I am seeing a lot of competitive reading. Like, I read 20 books this year. I've definitely seen a lot of that. But I think also, going back to the statistics of it, reading for leisure and reading for leisure has always been a niche market, right? You've always had other forms of media and mediums that have always dominated, or not always, or at least since the introduction of the radio. That's always been greater than reading. So right now, because a lot more people have access to different ways of shipping books and whatnot, there is an increase in the sales of books. So you're not necessarily seeing that reading is dying, so to speak. But I think the liberalization of information means that authors are able to give out the information that would be in their books in different mediums. So maybe the physical process of sitting down and opening up a book and reading, it's possible that I don't want to say that there's a decline in that, I'm not sure, but I do think that authors are being more intentional about being saying if you can't read or you don't have the time to or whatever is stopping you from being able to enjoy this information, tap into an audiobook. One of the something really fun to do is running with an audiobook or biking with the audiobook or doing some sort of exercise with the book in the back of your head. So it's like you can get through you can go through a university course like that in traffic.
No doubt you can. And I definitely like, especially when the author is the one reading the book, like I think audiobooks bring a certain quality, right? You can understand something like sarcasm more easily through an audiobook, right? Or hear the emotion in someone's voice when they're telling a story. So I think that's huge. I guess I got to be the bad guy, right? I found a fact, so I'm going to share them with the people, but they actually say the biggest difference between comprehension in terms of reading a book, the physical copy, or reading a book or digesting it through an audiobook is multitasking. So for sure, you can definitely take in information, like you said, while you running or driving or doing the dishes, right? But if you're doing it for a class, just know that you'll retain the information better if you sit down and listen to the book intently and take notes, maybe in the same way that you would sit intently and have to read a book. That kind of multitasking aspect gets in there a little bit. But you also write about the different ways that we're taking in information, right? The internet, social media. I was talking to our producer before the show about how our brain gets in this mode of maybe not being too far or too unused to reading, but used to reading small snippets and blurbs that are supposed to stimulate the brain in the smallest tidbit of information, meme, 30-second video, and it can be hard sometimes to shift back to critical reading mode.
What's your reading process?
I think I treat reading as a leisure activity, like meaning like I do it intentionally. Like when I'm reading, right? I think my relationship with music means that it's hard for me to like listen to music and read something at the same time, whether it's like for fun or for school or for work, right? So I have to read a lot of articles for work. I have to read a lot of like very academic type documents for work. So I try and read either stuff about organizing that inspires me. I'm reading a book on mutual aid by Dean Spade right now. That's pretty fire. I'm reading a book about addressing white supremacy, the field guide to white supremacy. So I like to read that type of stuff, but it's an activity for me. Like it's like sit in my chair, pick up the book and do nothing else, right? Keep my phone away from me. Or if I've got the book on my phone, read my phone, try and ignore the notifications, right? But it's like it's a whole activity unto itself to me, which means sometimes it's hard for me to find time for it. But it also means that it is something that is rejuvenating when I do find the time, and that, yeah, I feel like I definitely soak up and connect with the material.
That makes sense. I mean, there's different ways to it. There's that way where you can schedule a particular sort of time into it and treat it as an activity and, set your own limits. What I found to be super effective for me is that's the first thing I do when I wake up. Before I get out of bed, I got a book by my bedside. I pick that up and I'll push through 20 pages. 20 pages is the number I have to hit. If I can hit 20 pages that morning before I get out of bed, then I know I'm ready to start. So between Monday and Fridays, Saturdays, I have a little bit more time to be able to maybe go to a cafe or read while taking my coffee. But I do not leave the bed before I'm finished reading, and that's just one of those things that takes about 2 weeks to be able to get in your system. The first few weeks, you just, the book is hitting your the book is just hitting your head because you're struggling to stay awake. But over time, it's just it's like jump starting your brain in the morning with just forcing it to be able to take in information. The more you enjoy that information, the more fun it is to go into it. So for and I got that method from, I think it was Jordan Peterson, who was saying just ingrain it as part of your morning preparation processes or one of your get ready processes, where it's, I do this at this particular time. This is what I do no matter what. And the morning has always been super easy for me to do because I haven't touched my phone. I haven't done nothing. Grab a book, open it up. And that's how one is able to read multiple books a year.
Yeah. Now that you got me thinking about it, man, I'm driving a lot more, and like even have the blessing of being able to walk between a lot of the spaces where I work now. But it was dope to be on public transit and be able to read. So anytime you're a captive audience, that's a fire time to be able to pull out a book. You know what I'm saying? Find one that's not too big, keep it on your person. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, pull that out and be intentional about that, for sure.
Being intentional isn't only something that's reserved for reading. Being intentional is something that artists do all the time in their music as well. We heard Big Cuzzo talk about the intentions behind that Blue Money, you know? And we also hear different sorts of artists putting in a whole lot of intention within their music. It's been raining hip hop. It's been raining hip hop. Get your hip hop umbrellas out. Mas Xavier. What do the people love most?
Man, they like when we take the time, select a project, think about it, and bring them Rec and Review.
Rec and Review, Mo Hip Hop. Just want to say shout out to our SoundCloud audience, shout out to our Reddit audience, man. We see y'all guys over there pushing it in full effect. We appreciate y'all. We do these music reviews for y'all. Miles, we have a long history with SoundCloud, bro.
Yeah, word. SoundCloud has been with us. It's been a third part of this friendship from the jump, really.
I can say we've been on SoundCloud for a decade.
Yeah, just about. Shout out to Selection. Shout out to who was early on them SoundCloud days.
Esther, Mr. Carmack.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We was definitely curating playlists. We was way before Apple Music and all that. You used to come to us. We was hot. You know what I'm saying? We was local, but we was hot. You knew when you was listening to something that came from us.
Probably a steamy playlist of sorts. But that being said, man, I do want to appreciate the fact that we always felt that, man, we wish we didn't stop the music curation part of that SoundCloud journey so early. And now that things come so full circle and this audience is allowing us to do it, man, we do want to appreciate y'all. How we show y'all that appreciation is by diving into some of this music. JID, The Forever Story. What we saying?
This one was important. I ain't gonna hold you. DiCaprio 2 wasn't it for me.
Talk on it.
And I ain't mad if you like that project. I'm really not. As somebody who had been listening very attentively to this artist, there wasn't anything I felt new on DiCaprio 2, right? And it was another one of those situations where some of the best songs on the project I'd heard before the release of the project. To me, it didn't live up to the Never Story, and I think maybe there's a reason why that project didn't get the title that this project got, right? This is a proper follow-up, and I think it delivers. What you think?
We spoke about this actually a few weeks ago when we said, and it's crazy, man, how these conversations be happening. We literally brought up JID and we said what he needs to do next is drop something that does not lean too heavily on just rapping us to death. He needs to be more vulnerable and needs to expand his music, his music experimenting in a very artistic way. He needs to lean on his artistic capabilities. And so in saying that he was going to do the Never Story, which was a backup to the best album that he's dropped, at least what everybody feels to be the best album is about to the Never Story, which was his breakout album. It's much like we spoke about Joey Badass last year. The album that these guys, how you name an album and the connection to it and the intention behind it is important. So when you say I'm doing the Forever Story, you're referencing my best album, meaning that this has to be compared to my best album and this comes from my best album. And so for going into it, I definitely I held this in a different analytical eye than I would have if it was just another album that I would have dropped, because this is in reference to such a good album and because his peers are dropping incredible music at the time. I would be hard pressed not to say that in a time where there's a Mick Jenkins, where there's a Joey Badass, where there is a Boogie, where there is an Isaiah Rashad, where there's a Sir, where there's a lot of very, very talented people, Reason, this album fits right into there. Congratulations, Jid. Good piece of work.
I agree, man. I agree. This is if his goal was to remain in the running for that title, I think this project accomplishes that. It shows a level of growth, a level of maturity that I think he frankly needed to show that he has longevity in the game. How real do we want to get? How real do we want to get? Because I want to praise it, but I have some criticisms of it too. You know, what do you? Go ahead.
Let me start. Let me lead with love. Let me lead with love. My favorite thing about this album is how you see Jid leaning a lot into his vocal performances. You know, songs like Cody Blue 31, where it's a ballad of sorts. Also, the Dirk feature I think was very smart in not relying on Dirk for a traditional Atlanta beat, because you know Dirk has collab albums with Baby, so Dirk fits very well into that Atlanta flow, but utilizing Dirk in a very different way I think was very smart. And then his use of Ari Lennox, System, Brothernem, man, I think this content is extremely intentional, and it's very poignant and on the money. And I think the mark of a good artist sometimes is the ability to know how well you can rap, but like still be able to deliver something that's simple and beautiful. So I think the beautiful moments in this album are very beautiful, and the hard moments in this album, they do slap. My brother is going to now offer the harsh criticism. Let me get out the way.
It ain't even that harsh. It's again, I want to lay the foundation of like this is a really good project. I think one of my biggest overall criticisms of Jid is the double time flow, right? And there were points on this project where it felt like it was a tool that he was using to create the dopest song possible, and it was other parts of this project where I felt like he was falling back on that in a way that didn't, I don't know, I wouldn't want to say that it wasn't creative, but I just feel like when he didn't, there were some spaces where he used it and didn't use it that showed me that he relies on it a lot. It's a big part of his repertoire. And
what's a double time flow?
A double time flow is when you take the amount of bars that you can fit into a space, and you basically fit 2 bars for every measure of a song, or you say 2 bars worth of lyrics for every 1 bar of a song. Right, so if a beat is like 1, 2, 3, 4, you can kind of rap like 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can rap like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You dig me, right? And he uses that second cadence a lot in his music to really powerful effect on some songs, and in other songs I'm like, did you need to do this, or did you not know how to not do this? You feel me?
I think the songs like Brother Them, Sister Them, Can't Make You Change, Stars, I think they really do, they speak directly towards that criticism, which was the criticism that he had on DiCaprio too, where it was just flooded in that. So I think, you know, just some pushback on that. Clearly his lyrical abilities come in the way that he can squeeze flows into tight spaces, but by dropping a song like Cody Blue, which is almost entirely singing, that is towards those critics and being like, nah, I can do this thing on a whole different level too. Funny enough, it's something that we've seen Boogie do. So I would say that this is also heavily influenced by Boogie in terms of the love song singing element of it. But I still think it comes off very well.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, maybe this is an unpopular opinion from the Never Story, but Hereditary is one of my favorite songs on there of him singing, right? And so I think he's shown that he can do it, but I think he's still developing his approach to certain songs. Like you, man, I really appreciated the way that he used, or the way that Dirk on Blood and Them wasn't a typical Chicago sounding, drill sounding feature. I don't love Dirk's performance on the song, but again, right, I appreciate the creativity. I thought Can't Make You Change was hard. Now, System M is a joint. Nah, System M is fire. I mess with that heavy. I think songs like Crack Sandwich are some of where he displays his ability to pick from a different pool of content than most artists are right now, and to weave in vulnerability and to paint pictures, right? He does all the things that artists talk about doing, painting pictures with his bars, really making you feel it. But there's a uniqueness to the way that he approaches storytelling that makes you feel connected to the characters in his stories, his family, even his use of skits. I really just appreciate his approach to this, man. Even the album cover, right? Like, a lot of times we see an album cover and we're like, okay, he went with one of those. It looks like this. This is something a little bit different with him standing in the middle and all these scenes from different pictures all on the same background. He's in a different artistic space. And if there was a question of whether he belongs in conversation with the Boogies, with the Isaiah Rashads, with some of those other gentlemen, I think he's solidifying his spot. Let me ask you something, though. Based on an album we reviewed not too long ago, this or that Joey Badass project?
Oh man, I don't like doing that type of competitive thing, man. But I do think that it's
Come
a
on,
lot.
man.
It's very close. It's
Hip hop is
very
competitive, dog.
It's very, very close. But I think both of them are chasing that Boogie album. And I think that Boogie album is chasing that Rashad album, if that helps anybody put things into perspective. So, I very solid piece of work. And I think, man, kudos to Dreamville. Kudos to Dreamville, man, cultivating so much talent coming out of there. Funny enough, I think Jid is front runner for me in the Dreamville space. I think Boss is their pop rapper look, and I think Ari Lennox is their female R&B songstress. But I think Jid for me is front runner in Dreamville, and I think he wants that spot. He acknowledges that spot, and he's going. I met Jid in South Africa in 2017, 2018. Real cool cat, man. Real cool cat. So, shout out to the brother for winning. You know, one of those people where he's just cool, just very cool. You know, no, not ego led, very welcoming, open to understanding the culture. Even in a very precarious part of town, you know, but he was still a very cool dude, man. So to be able to see somebody that you meet, like, nah, this is a cool dude. To see him grow and keep putting out music like this, man. Shout out to the boy Jitty Jid.
Man, no doubt. Always good to hear that the homie is really how the homie is.
What about you?
What about me? What?
Can't run away from the smoke.
What? Oh, me or this or the Joey Badass project?
Mm-hmm.
Dang. I'm gonna keep it real and go Joey, but that's tough. I mean, I've had 2-3 weeks with that, and I've only had 1 week with this. So, like you said, it is very close. I think Joey Badass, that album is one that I can see myself throwing on more easily. But if you asked me which one shows an artist, if you ask me which one makes me more excited for the artist's next project, I might have to go with the Forever Story. So I don't know. If you force me to choose, 2000, but this one's got a lot of potential. I appreciate where he's at, and I appreciate, man, that the creativity. I'm gonna still take, man. I feel like, man, this sound like I'm hating, but I will take Ari over Jid in the Dreamville race. I think her ceiling is non-existent. So we'll see. But loved this project for sure. If I had to throw a rating on it, I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5, no doubt.
Me and my brother in sync. Me and my brother are a 1-to-1. We got a quote. We got a comment from The Last Goon saying it was a dope listen. Shout out to The Last Goon. Hey, man, Miles Xavier, we gave these people a whole bunch of different information, man. You say you appreciate this album. We also know we appreciate absolutely everybody that be listening to this here show, man, because we know.
Yeah, we know. You got a lot of options, some of which might be less choppy. So we experienced a lot of chop today, but we persevere. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of chop.
Yeah.
A lot of chop.
Excuse the video issues, but You know, we out here doing the best that we can with what we got. In this celebration of celebrating, in this celebration of love, in this celebration of what it means and how good it feels to acknowledge our history and be black. Don't it feel good, Sway?
Hey, shout out to Big Cuzzo and it feel great.
Yeah. Or First Nations, or Native American, or wherever you are. We hope it feel good to be you. Before we get up out of here, I gotta address some.
You gotta address it.
You gotta address some.
You gotta address them, dude.
We have a road commenter, the last go that needs, that really just, that feels like we need to put the PSA out there that the state of hip hop is in the state of Nebraska. Now do with that information what you will, but it's only right. It's only right that we put that out there because we've heard that comment a couple times now. So take it in. No doubt, man. We appreciate our audience. We appreciate y'all listeners. Keep engaging, man. We want to be able to shout more of y'all out, throw y'all PSAs out. But for now, eat something delicious, hug somebody you love,
man.
and send me a laptop, yo. Peace. Water. We gone.
Yeah, I get that.